I have an example here that I'm not going to let anyone touch, but I'll let you see it, of a newspaper from 1992, so you get an idea of what freedom of the press was like in 1992. You are...
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline. Do you speak Spanish?
No.
No. Good. Okay. I want Jacqueline to read to you in its entirety an editorial that appeared in the newspaper on 10th of February 1992. You don't have to read the headline, just read the editorial right there. Okay. Very, very good. Very good. There's the editorial. Now, if you, it was censored. Okay. Now, I'm careful because of the wind. If you think that was a good editorial, let's go to page 4. The mirrors of conscience. Okay. This is freedom of the press in before Chavez.
What year was that, Charlie?
1992. Okay. Now there's an interesting thing about this newspaper. The president of this newspaper, did some of you hear about a television station whose license wasn't renewed last year, RCTV? Well, the owner of that is Marcel Grenier, who happened to be the president of this newspaper. He didn't protest in 1992. Maybe he was happy the articles were censored. He got his money because I bought the newspaper, okay? Now he runs around the world talking about lack of freedom of press. He didn't run around the world in 1992 under that democracy he talks about, okay? I could show you other things, but about freedom of the press. But I'm just going to pull out 2 newspapers from just recently here. This is the date on it, 19 April 2009. Here, President Chavez meets with President Obama. He says President Obama is a very intelligent person. What's the comment here? In front of Hugo, anyone would appear to be intelligent. Here, President Chavez said to President Obama, I want to be friends. Here's a cartoon. Obama with a long, very stereotyped black person's face. You want to be my friend? I accept. And he's holding his little black dog in his hands. Okay. Now this is the 19th of April, 2009.
What paper is that?
This is El Universal. This is El
The
Nacional.
newspaper of record in the country.
Okay. Where does Associated Press have its offices? In the office building of Universal. Okay. Let me take you to the United States for a moment. Freedom of the press. I don't subscribe to Time. I don't see it. In Cheyenne, Wyoming, I have an old car, a 1987 Oldsmobile. So it sits out in the street. When I go back, I have a car that I can drive. I take the garage, and there they happen to have this Time. But I believe in something up there that just happens to drop things in my hand, like tracking Hurricane Hugo. The only Time magazine I was to see that year, here's an article on Hugo Chavez. And so I read it. I'm going to read to you the first 2 lines. When Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela, talks about the Bush administration, he does so with invective that can be both bellicose and sophomoric. Now this guy got further into word power and made easier than Second sentence. Since he has become president in 1999, Chavez has publicly in Spanish called Bush an A, with a line after it, who is trying to assassinate him. Now, again, when I was, the nuns in school used to do this to us. They would give you paragraphs and just put one letter and you got to fill in the word. And I thought, that's great. Time magazine now lets you put in what words you want to in their articles. So I looked through the rest of this and there weren't any other words left out, just this one with A. So, put on my thinking cap, Chavez public called, in Spanish, called Bush an animal. That starts with A. Assassin? No, that's already. So, Chavez called Bush an ASS, who's trying to assassinate him. So, associate, right? Associate? Yeah. They're both presidents or assistant. I mean, Bush has helped Chavez a lot. And so I called Brian Ellsworth, who is one of the people who wrote this. And I said, what does this A mean? And so he says to a former priest, that meant asshole. And I said, when did Chavez say that? Well, the thing is, on February 28, 2004, Chavez said in public, if President Bush believes everything that his advisors are saying about Venezuela, he is a pendejo. Pendejo in Venezuela means a very stupid person. It means someone who's being used. I have here a newspaper that was given at the Youth Congress here, pendejo, tonto, stupid, corto de mente, doesn't have all the books in his private library. Sujeto de burlas, subject to being made fun of, okay? When I first arrived, I asked people in Barrio, what does pendejo mean? They said it's like someone who's, their partner is being unfaithful to them and they don't realize, they don't pay attention to it. It's someone who's being used. If you have any doubt about this, I was in a Catholic church on Sunday when the priest said to the people, no somos pendejos. Now, do you think any priest would get up on Sunday and say to this congregation, we're not assholes, are we? Okay. It doesn't have that meaning here, okay? So then, a year later, Secretary General of the Organization of American States in Sousa said something about this RCTV thing. And President Chavez said, he is a pendejo, starting with P and ending with O, okay? And Reuters, why did it come to me then? Because two reporters, when I called Brian Ellsworth, two reporters, Patrick Marque, here's the article, March 1st, 2004, Chavez calls Bush asshole as foes fight troops. The New York Times took onto it, but here's another, Pascal Fletcher, Reuters, again. So, I say to Brian Ellsworth, it doesn't mean that, he says it's now come to mean that. Okay, some guys from England, the United States, get to decide what the word pendejo means in Venezuela. Secretary in Sousa said something about RCTV. Chavez says pendejo, starting P, ending with O. I called Saul Hudson, the bureau chief for Reuters, and because they said Chavez called in Sousa asshole. And I said, where'd you get that translation? He said, I'm sure we have documentation on it. You send me an email, he doesn't know me, I don't know him. I don't know Brian Ellsworth, he knew me for some reason. I'll get back to you. So I sent an email Wednesday night, didn't get an answer Thursday, Friday, Thursday night late, I sent another email Friday, I did miss your email, we'll get back to you. He writes me the next week and says, I've consulted with all the bureau chiefs, we're all in agreement, that's what it means. We got it from our Oxford Dictionary here in our office. I have an Oxford Dictionary. Have you ever ordered a book on the internet? You know, if you're not careful, you don't know what you're really getting, and so some people were coming down to a group like yours, and I said, would you be so kind as to bring me a book? I'll order it, it'll go to your house, you just have to bring it, it's a small dictionary. Small dictionary, I should have said, would you be willing to bring me 8 bricks? It turned out to be a huge Oxford Dictionary. And so I looked, and that isn't one of the translations it gives for pendejo. So I wrote Saul Hudson, would you be so kind, sorry to bother you, but you have it in your office, just tell me what edition, who the publisher was, and what year it was on. He still hasn't responded to me. Okay. Now, why is this important? One, Chavez never said anything against the United States government or against President Bush for the first 5 years of his presidency. 5 years. And that day in 2004, he said, if President Bush believes everything his advisors are saying about Venezuela, he's being taken advantage of. And Reuters said, Chavez called Bush an asshole. Now, whether I vote for Bush or not doesn't matter. I don't think it's nice to call my president an asshole. I don't have high regard for another president who would get up in public and use that kind of language. But I think it gives you something of an idea of what is happening here. Okay? So, freedom of the press.